We're going to go ahead and talk about the final phase of the project for the artifact. Everything is due on February 24th, which is a Friday. And for your project, you're turning in two things: your original replica that you've produced and the document analysis form. I'll talk about both of those. So I put all this stuff on one page just so I wouldn't be clicking back and forth. But the first thing you're going to want to look at is your overview form. And I've cut and pasted some stuff on this document. So let's talk about building your artifact first. You need to build it as close to the original as possible. It should be accurate with respect to shape, colors, materials. Let me talk about that a little bit. Shape and colors, absolutely. Materials, probably not so much. Obviously, if you're doing something, let's say you constructed a gun, I don't expect you to make that out of metal, but it needs to be as close to the original as possible. Also, the size. Some of the objects you guys have picked in real life were huge. So, for instance, I'm trying to think, a cannon. If you chose a cannon, you cannot build a cannon as big as the original. So, I'm not going to tell you how big it needs to be. Obviously, it shouldn't be huge. You need to bring it to school. I wouldn't go too small on the stuff because then you probably don't have enough room for the detail. The only thing that I ask is that it's proportional. So if you did a cannon, the wheels aren't like abnormally large compared to the barrel of the cannon. So really spend time thinking out whatever it is before you build it. Spend time on this. The better you can do it, the better your grade will be. It's pretty obvious to me when I grade the artifacts who spent 20 minutes on something and who spent a couple hours on them. Um, it's apparent really, really quick. Remember, the model must be created by you. No store-bought kits, no Legos, no 3D printing. I'm skipping this for now, you will need to bring this to school. So make sure you do that. Make arrangements. Just bring it in a bag or something like that. You can drop it off in my classroom before school. You also need to complete the museum analysis sheet. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to scroll down. So we are on weeks 4 and 5 of the project. So by the 24th, you need to construct your artifact. Make sure you have all the materials necessary. You might need help from mom and dad if there's stuff that you need to go get. If you don't have everything around the house, construct the artifact, making it as accurate as possible. Then, in addition to that, you will need to complete the document analysis sheet over your project. This also is due on the 24th. So I'll show you where this is. If I scroll back up, when you go to the module on Canvas, up towards the top, you're going to find this where it says Project Document Analysis Form. And I'm going to scroll down and show you what it looks like. So your instructions, I put all the analysis forms for all the different projects on one just to make it easier. You're only concerned with the artifact. For the artifact project, you don't have a choice on what you analyze. It has to be the artifact that you researched and constructed. So I'll scroll down. I'll pass that. We don't need to read that. For all the projects, when you do the analysis form, complete sentences are required on every single question. Proper spelling and grammar should be used throughout the analysis. So I would definitely spell check it. Notice there are sentence requirements on it. Like anything we do in class with writing, the more detailed, the more thorough you can be, the better. Also, just to stress this is worth 1/3 of your grade. This is a 30-point project. The analysis form is 10 points. So if you did an absolutely brilliant project and got a 20 out of 20 on that, and then spent 10 minutes on the analysis sheet and get a 4 out of 10 on that, suddenly your 100% average that you had for your artifact, get a 4 out of 10, that's 24 out of 30. That's an 80%. So don't blow this off. Your form, and when you come up here and click on that guy right there, your form is going to be up at the top. And I'll just show you what it looks like. I'm not going to read through all these questions. One thing that I will absolutely stress on this is you have to include original pictures that you constructed your artifact off of. And the more you can give me, the better. Sometimes it's helpful if I have 2 or 3 as opposed to just one, so I can really compare and contrast. I will not grade it if I do not see pictures. It would be impossible for me to grade. And then you have the analysis that you have to fill out. Like I said, complete sentences. Make sure you're being detailed, reading the questions well, and answering them. This is where your research is going to come into effect if you did good research. So those are the questions that you have to answer. One final thing on your project overview sheet, you can't see it on this that I'm talking about, but on your project overview sheet at the very bottom is the rubric that I'm grading off of. So I would absolutely take a look at that before you turn this in to make sure you have completed everything. If you have any questions, if anything comes up you're confused about, let me